All right. Hello, and welcome to the club. I know I said I was going to try some new things here. I totally forgot to swap my light around, but I didn't feel I needed to do it for this video because this is more of a short video. And as you can see from the title, this is a list of my least 5 favorite Marvel champions to play as. All right. Now, this isn't like they're the worst in the game. Oh, I think some of them are. This is more of like champions I really don't like playing as, and I don't make decks for them because I find that they're a pain. All right, like there's things in their kit I don't like, and you know what? Let's just get into it. So let's start with our last hero. Well, let's start with the first hero of our bottom 5, Captain Marvel. Now, Captain Marvel has some interesting things going for her, but I don't really care for her. I don't care for her really, mostly because of Cosmic Flight. Like, she's a good champion, don't get me wrong, but I really don't care for like the way she works. And so I put it. Well, okay. Real reason being Cosmic Flight. All right. Comes in with 2 of them, and these are the only 2 cards that give her. No, she comes in with 2 of them. Where's the second one at? She comes in with 2 of them, and they give her the aerial trait, right? Which would be great actually, because a lot of her things, like for example, these increase her, give her more benefits for having the aerial trait. Now, what I don't like is this bottom text, right? It is a hero interrupt, so you can choose when to activate it, but when you would take damage, you can discard Cosmic Flight to prevent 3 of that damage. And it's sort of a 2-cost card, so I feel like it's a card that's a little bit too expensive to just get rid of because to prevent 3 damage. Because you sit here, you pay 2 cards, you put it out, you gain the aerial trait, and then you take damage, and you're sort of like, ooh, okay, I guess I can discard this, but you paid 2 cards. I feel like if this was a 1-cost and if this was a 1-cost, or if it didn't even have that bottom trait, I think I would be fine with it. But I don't really care for her. She's not one of my favorite heroes to play as, and a lot of people love her. I'm probably the minority that doesn't really care for her like that. So she's on the list of my bottom 5. All right. I know, right? It's like, oh man, you hating on Captain Marvel? Yes, I am. All right. I don't like Captain Marvel like that. All right, get over it. We still got 4 more. But at least these 4, they're way more reasonable. Like, I just don't like Captain Marvel. Alright, next up on our list is Nebula. Now, the thing with Nebula is I don't like her kit. I find it very annoying to use because the way she works is she has these things called techniques, right? So the way it works is after you play 1 technique, you draw 2 cards, right? And then, after your turn begins, so the next turn, you resolve the special ability on each technique upgrade you control, then discard each technique upgrade resolved this way. So you go, you play her, you play a technique, you draw 2 cards, you flip her over, you do something, you end your turn, the villain's turn, it's your turn, you discard this, well, you activate a special effect, and then you start discarding them. So it's sort of like, doesn't incentivize you to play multiple techniques at once. Like, I feel I understood what they were going for, but it's like it messes with me because I think I'm an okay player. All right, so playing with someone like Nebula, you know what I mean, can be sort of it's very taxing. Because it's like, all right, I want to switch over. I don't want to switch over because I don't want to discard my techniques yet. Or it's like, I don't even want to play my techniques sometime because I need them to stay out on the field like longer. So it's very it's not my favorite mechanic. It can be very confusing at times. And so I just don't even bother playing her because, again, we have like over 50-something heroes in Marvel Champions. All right. I think I'm okay with there's 10 characters I don't really play like that, but these are 5 I absolutely do not play with. And Nebula's on this list because I just don't like the way her kit works out with one another. The interactions just throw me for a loop sometimes, so I don't bother playing with her. She sits there collecting dust along with our following hero, Colossus. Now, it's really interesting, right? Because if you think about it, Captain Marvel was one of like the first heroes to come out. Okay, and so it's understandable that like she could, like, any of the 6 heroes from the first Marvel Champions box could be there. It's also understandable for Nebula because she came from the Guardians of the Galaxy set wave, and that was like 2 or 3 years ago as well. So a lot of these heroes are old, but Colossus came out last year, I want to say. This year? Nope, last year? Probably, because he came as part of the X-Men set, and I enjoyed him until I found out the interaction between piercing and tough status. So let me break it down for you, right? What Colossus does is he allows you to place 1 additional tough status on him, right? Which is great. You have 2 tough status on you. That means if an enemy attacks you once, you only get rid of 1 tough status and you still have 1 tough status left, right? And when you are over here, and even after you change to this form, he gets a tough status on top of him, which is great because a lot of his cards are like, oh, this card is tough status. This one gives you overkill. Whoops, I'm sorry. I'm trying to line this up right so you can see this. Or like this one, for example. After tough status card is this card. You can exhaust this and give him another tough status card. Or my favorite one, which is, where are you? I should have probably checked these out first. Titanium Muscles. Exhaust this card. Generate a 5th resource for each tough status card on Colossus, right? So it sounds great. You have maybe 1 tough status card, and this is a permanent resource generator that not only gives him +1 attack, but also is going to probably guarantee you at least 1 free resource that you can use every turn, right? Sounds great. The problem is that a lot of enemies, is 2 keywords actually that villains have. Piercing and Stalwart, right? Now, I'm not a big fan. Let's start with Stalwart first. So I'm not a big fan of Stun and Confuse because Stalwart prevents you from stunning and confusing an enemy. So this is the kind of card that only deals 5 damage against an enemy that has Stalwart. You know what I mean? This is a built-in card in this kit. I wouldn't mind if you can choose to put Stun and Confuse in your cards. But when you have Stun and Confuse as part of your kits, it sort of is very annoying because then you run into these villains and you're like, if you're playing Jubilee, you know, you're like, oh, most of my cards are useless because I can't stun or confuse you. This is why I like Steady. Steady, even though it takes 2 stuns and 2 confuse to stun and confuse an enemy, I am okay with Steady happening. Because then it's like, okay, he's a little bit stronger, so you gotta do a little bit more in order to get that stun and confuse off. I'm okay with that. But not having the ability to stun or confuse an enemy is very annoying to deal with, alright? And especially because, now some enemies do have items that give you Stalwart, but you can spend resources to get rid of those. And I don't mind those enemies at all. Like Magneto, for example, he does have his helmet and his cape that prevent him from being stunned and confused, but you can get rid of that. Again, I'm fine with paying the resources to get rid of them. I'm not fine having an enemy just come in with Stalwart. Now, here's the other thing. Piercing. Let's say you're Colossus, you're getting attacked, and you have 2 tough status cards on you, right? An enemy is going to hit you with Piercing. That Piercing gets rid of both of your tough status cards. That means that in games, when you would have at least 1 tough status card, you might end up having 0 tough status cards because the enemy attacked you with Piercing. Do you see what I'm getting at here? When you're playing the game, right, sometimes, depending on what you put into the modular, the game can be tough. But what I don't like is when the game mechanics also start nerfing your hero as well. Because then it makes them like, oh, why would I play this? You know what I mean? And this is my thing with Colossus. I don't like Colossus because I feel like the game inherently works against Colossus. So I know, this is a bit of a longer rant about him, but this is why he's like third on the list, because I just don't like how the game treats him. I wish that if Piercing only got rid of one tough status, I'd be fine with that. But the fact that it gets rid of two is kind of like, yeah. Especially for a hero like Colossus that relies on tough status cards to sort of activate his kit and get rolling. Without your tough status cards, you're sort of in a weird predicament, unless you have a bunch of allies who can chump block for you. Like, it's weird if you think about it, right? You put out allies to chump block for you because you don't want to get rid of your tough statuses, even though your tough statuses are supposed to prevent you from taking damage. It's a weird thing, and I don't like how the mechanic works against them, so I don't normally play as... I don't really play as Colossus, ever. Normally, he's in the back of the boat. Like, way in the back of the boat. But not as way in the back of the boat as our next hero. You like the way I do these segues? I like them too. Black Widow. Black Widow is another hero that I feel that I don't play as. And she's one of the old heroes that just, it hasn't aged well. You know what I mean? They've got preparation cards coming out for her, but she's not one of my favorite heroes to play as. One of my least favorite. Especially with the ruling of Widow's Bite, that like if an enemy with Quick Strike comes in, they hit you first, and then Widow's Bite activates. I don't like that. I think that's kind of... I think you could rule in the player's favor, but what are they called? Oh my god, Fantasy Flight decided to rule against it, so Quick Strike will always hit you first. Yeah, I don't really like her kid a lot. I don't like a lot of the things that she does. And she also has the Colossus problem where the game just works against her. So it's sort of like, I don't want to make a deck for you. I don't want to make a deck for you at all. I don't want nothing to do with you. You can just stay over there. Because again, I've got over 50 champions to play as. And I'm always going to have Phoenix. Alright, so we're on the bottom 4 so far. So, this one right here. Drum roll. My least favorite. I know I don't really have a lot to say about Black Widow. It's just she's an old hero, hasn't aged well, and the game works against her. It's just not my favorite. I don't have as much to say as her against. Maybe, you know what? I think that would be fair, because I have a lot to say about Colossus, especially for him being such a recent hero. But he's not. But with all the stuff I have to say as Colossus, I must say that there's one hero that even tops him. One hero that I absolutely refuse to play with. I tell other people not to play as him because he is just absolute trash. Alright? Garbage. Alright? Garbage. Let me introduce you to Hawkeye. Whoops, see, he's so trash, he's still over here. I went to lift up the whole set. That's right. Cliff Burton, aka Hawkeye, is an absolutely terrible hero. Alright, I don't recommend him for anyone to play as. I don't pick him. I don't do. I've really tried, and here's the thing, right? I wanted to like Hawkeye. I really did. I went and I tried Marvel CDB decks off. I went online. I made decks for Hawkeye to use, and I couldn't get around how annoying everything he does is, right? Here's the thing, okay? So, when you start the game, you spend one resource of any type to look for your bow. Why am I spending one resource to look for my bow? Alright, I shouldn't have to spend any resource to look for my bow at all, for any reason whatsoever. Alright, I understand if I discard it, but I shouldn't have to pay for this because this is my kit. I need this to do things, right? And here's how it works. So you have all these lovely arrow cards, right? That you need to exhaust your bow for in order to use. Okay. So bam, we've got 3, 6. We've got 9 cards out of 15 cards. That's more than half of his kit. That's just arrows, right? And you need to exhaust. Oh wait, I'm sorry. I dropped one. So that's 10. So he's only got 5 cards, right? These lovely 5 cards that aren't arrows. And he needs to exhaust his singular card in order to use his arrows. Okay, well, we can exhaust Hawkeye in order to use our bows as well. Oh, but here's the kicker. Why would we exhaust Hawkeye to ready this up when we get a +3, when we get +1 to our attack, making us a 1/3/1? Oh wait, we're a hero with 1/3/1. I can't defend nothing. I can't thwart to save a life. I can only attack, and even then, my attack is sort of like, do I want to use my bows? Which could be amazing, or do I want to just attack? And then I have all these bows in my hand. I just don't like, because there's so many things I don't like about this, I don't know where to start at. And this is one of the things that I don't like about Hawkeye. Yes, it's nice that he does have some resource generators. Two of his cards are expert marksmanship. But these only work for arrow events. So here's the thing. If you have a regular aggression event, you can't use that for this. Like, he is just so limited because it's like his kit only works for him. And I don't like the fact that, like, oh, you can only use X, Y, and Z on C card, alright? Like, the fact that this only works on arrow events and not just events in general is such a weird thing to me. Because it's like, why it weakens him. There's just so many things I felt that they went wrong when they did his kit. Because I thought it was cool when I first tried it, alright? I was like, oh, neat. I'm going to get arrows. I've got something to search out arrows. I'm going to use arrows all the time. I'm going to use 2 arrows. I'm going to be doing this. I'm going to be doing that. And then you find out you really don't do anything because most enemies hit you for about 4 to 6 damage. And when you have 9 HP, you got to flip down. So if you got to flip down all the time because you only have 9 HP, then you need to have more than 1 thwart. The fact ain't you don't. Alright, so then you're thinking, oh, well, maybe if I just do justice. Okay, well, you can try to do justice. But I mean, you're still getting hit for all this damage. So it's like you would want to do something with confusion, but then you've got Stalwart. And again, y'all know how I feel about Stalwart. I already said it. So, yeah, Hawkeye he's not a hero I play with. And here's the thing, right? And I think what really grinds my gears is he came in the Rise of the Red Skull box with Spider-Woman, who I would argue is probably one of the strongest heroes in the game. Alright, like the ability to, she can use 2 different aspects, and she gets +1 to her abilities for all her aspects. She has some extremely bonkers decks that I've played with against villains on expert. I'm just like, I smash, alright? Like, I've smashed face playing as her. And then you have Hawkeye, who came in the same box, and I can barely do anything, alright? Trying to fight Rhino on expert? No, thank you. So, yes, this has been a list of my least 5 favorite, or at least 5 Marvel champions that I hate playing as. Alright, I don't like playing as them. I wish, and here's the thing. These 2 could be fixed if they just, these 2 are more of a game mechanic issue. This one is more of a kit issue. Like, this can't be fixed by herself. Alright, she would need, like, new cards, I feel, in order to make me be like, I would play as her again. I just don't like her. Alright, I just don't like her. She don't even deserve to be in this list. I am letting you all know she doesn't deserve to be in this list, but I don't really like her, and you all like 5. So, you know how it is. I gotta say 5. And she's just the one I liked the least. Alright, it was either gonna be her or Miss Marvel. And then this is the worst hero. Like, I would love for someone in the comment section to prove me wrong as to why he isn't the worst hero in the game, but I honestly feel he is. He's just no bueno. No bueno. So, yeah, that's my list. I hope you all enjoy it. And yes, if you're asking, am I posting these list videos down just to get more views because people seem to love talking about everything? You're the one kicking my cards over, alright? Gosh, I'm okay. I'm gonna pet you after the video. I got you. But yeah, that's gonna be it. Say bye, Foxtrot. Nah, she's too busy in her paw. She don't want to say bye. I'm just gonna move that over a little bit so you can watch. And then that's it for this video. So I will catch you all later. I probably will make one with like not my top 5. I think I might do like a top 3. Or you know what? I might do like a top 10. Maybe I'll do a top 10. Because there's a lot of heroes I like that I enjoy playing as. And I think their stuff is amazing. But yeah, that's going to be it for this one, yo. Hope you're all entertained. And I will catch you all in the next one. Later.